Nigeria's digital currency, the eNaira, is now in existence. The launching of the Central Bank of Nigeria digital currency yesterday, President Muhammadu Buhari said that Nigeria is the first country in Africa and one of the first in the world to introduce a digital currency to our citizens.
Nigeria is one of the only few countries in the world to develop an official digital currency. The eNaira is an alternative to having money in the bank. The eNaira was developed by fintech company Bit, which is also behind the creation of similar electronic currencies in some East Caribbean countries. President Buhari says the adoption of the new CBN digital currency is estimated to increase Nigeria's GDP by $29 billion over the next 10 years.
Alongside digital innovations, central bank digital currencies can foster economic growth through better economic activities. Indeed, some estimates indicate that the adoption of central bank digital currencies and its underlying technology, called blockchain, can increase Nigeria's GDP by $29 billion United States dollars over the next 10 years. The central bank digital currencies can also help increase remittances, foster cross-border trade, improve financial inclusion, make monetary policy more effective, and enable the government to send direct payments to citizens eligible for specific welfare programs. It is on this basis that I am delighted to officially launch the Central Bank of Nigeria digital currency called the eNaira, and in so doing, we have become the first country in Africa and one of the first in the world to introduce a digital currency to her citizens.
A clearly elated CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele speaks on the issue of security of the eNaira. He assures Nigerians on the security of the digital currency.
We will not embark on a project where we have not really dimensioned the risks. You identify a risk, and you now measure the risk, and then we think about how to manage the risk. We have looked at it. There is no need, absolutely no reason for anybody to be afraid of the risk of maybe hacking your account and the rest of them. This morning I set up my account, and my account is operating very well. And I can assure you that with all, I talked about the BVN. The BVN is one of the best payment system infrastructure that we have put in place. And I can assure you that with all everything that has been done, you cannot hack into it.
The CBN governor reels out upcoming projects of the Apex Bank.
Nigeria is the first in Africa. That's the eNaira. We have a few other projects that are on the pipeline. The Nigerian Theatre Project, which is meant to support our creative industry, the youths, is a project that is currently ongoing. And our promise is that we will deliver that by latest December 2022. We have the Nigerian Commodity Exchange Project. It's another noble project that we consider very, very key in delivering a mandate of price and monetary stability. We also started with the Infrastructure Corporation Project, being led by Central Bank, Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, and the African Finance Corporation.
The launch of eNaira comes as the use of physical cash in conducting business and making payments continues to be on the decline. This has been heightened by the resurgence of a new digital economy, following which businesses, households, and other economic agents have sought for new means of making payments in the new circumstances.
Joining us now from our Abuja studio is Dr. Andrew Nevin, a partner and Chief Economist of Pricewaterhousecoopers. Thank you very much, Dr. Nevin, for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning. It's always wonderful to be here.
Thank you very much. Well, Dr. Nevin, what is it that is spectacular about eNaira, in your view? The president and the CBN governor, they have both said a lot of great things about it. But how is it different from the Naira? And, what really is the major thing that Nigerians should look forward to?
Well, I think to begin with, I mean, we all understand the importance of money in our life, and we understand how cash works. Cash is very simple. When my wife, Uma, goes to the market in Abuja and buys peppers to make jollof rice, she takes money out of her, Naira out of her wallet, and she passes it over to the woman selling her the peppers, and it's a very simple transaction. But the problem with that is there's a few problems with it. One is it's expensive to print the cash. It's expensive to get it into the hands of people to be able to exchange. You have a problem with change if it's 90 Naira for the peppers or 150 Naira for the peppers, but you only have 200 Naira. That's hard to make change. So we all understand that. The eNaira comes along and says we can recreate cash in that very simple form of going from a person to a person without all of the problems of it on that. And that's what's really essential. So people may say, and we've had people say, look, POS, that was good enough. POS is a very complicated transaction. You have to have a debit card issued by the bank. The debit card communicates with your bank. The bank then communicates to the switch. The switch communicates back to the merchant acquiring bank. And there's 4 or 5 steps in it, and there could be a break at any step. And all of us have been charged on our debit cards when we shouldn't have been on that. The eNaira dramatically simplifies it. It's just one person to one person. So it's a fantastic technology for everyone in society, but particularly for the bottom of the pyramid. But what's even more important is over time, we can build up so many things on top of the eNaira. Once we have the base eNaira, there are many, many other functions that can be built up. You mentioned diaspora remittances, so it become very easy. So someone who is in the diaspora, say in Wisconsin, will be able to go on a website or an app and instantly transfer value to their mother in the village in Enugu, for example. And that's really a major, major change. If you think now how many of these systems work, the SWIFT system in international banking, very cumbersome, very old technology, takes several days in some cases to transfer value. So now we have a way of transferring value instantly. It's on the distributed ledger technology, which is very, very secure, and of course it gives a record of all the transactions. So it's a major step forward for the country, and I think the CBN should really be applauded. I mean, in very short order, we're going to be the largest country that uses this type of central bank digital currency, and I think it's going to be a beacon for all African countries.
Well, thank you for that, Dr. Nevin. There certainly should be. So you've talked about how the CBN is trying to make our lives easier, but how do they get users to trust it? They do have a 2-step verification, don't they? But, you know, devices do get stolen. So that trust issue is key.
Well, to begin with, I mean, it's a sad thing to say, but I mean, when your device is stolen, you have exactly the same problem on your banking app, right? If your details are compromised with it, then you've got a problem. But if the device is stolen, someone doesn't have your login details, whether it's the eNaira app, the wallet, or whether it's your banking app or some other financial app. So please, everyone, always keep your login details safe. So, you know, from that viewpoint, I think the system is very secure. But I think the other thing that's really interesting here is, of course, Nigeria is a leader in using crypto assets, cryptocurrencies, which of course you're not sure of what the value is. You buy a Doge coin, I mean, it's interesting, but you know, will it hold its value? Will it go to zero? But what it has taught, particularly young people in Nigeria, is they understand how this sort of technology works and the instant exchange of value. So I think Nigerians are going to find out that you know, we'll find it's just very easy to use the eNaira. They're used to the way this instant value transactions work, instant movement of value work from all of their experience with crypto assets. But now we've taken that same technology, not with some dubious asset where we're not sure of the value, but it's for the legal tender, for the Naira. So I think the uptake will be very fast. And of course, viewers may recall originally the central bank and the Office of the Presidency wanted to come out with the eNaira on October 1st, of course, to be part of the Independence Day celebrations, the 61st anniversary of Nigeria. But it was delayed. You know, why was it delayed? Well, my understanding from what's happened here is one of the reasons it was delayed was just there was such an overwhelming interest that there was concerns about the capacity of the system on that. So Nigerians understand how this technology works from the crypto world, and they're going to embrace it here. And I think that people are going to find when you're in the marketplace, and you can transfer 87 Naira at zero cost from yourself to the merchant. It's just going to be very, very powerful. And we're just going to build more and more apps on top of it, ways of using it. So for example, CBN and the government's already come out and talked about eNaira is how you're going to pay the government. So for taxes and fees that you need to pay, you'll transfer the eNaira. They've come out and talked about when we have targeted programs. So if you think of the COVID, where we were trying to get palliatives to people, trying to get cash to people to be able to live when they weren't able to work, the eNaira becomes a much easier way to do it. But I think that the thing that maybe the most fantastic about the way the CBN's implemented the eNaira is if you go to, for example, the Bahamas and you look at the sand dollar only works on a smartphone. So you need an Android app, you need the iPhone sort of app to do it. They took the decision very early on that you'll be able to use an eNaira with USSD, with a feature phone. And of course, now that has not been rolled out, but it's on the roadmap of the CBN. And that's enormous because it means that you don't just have this for people that have a smartphone. And of course, in this country, I think we do about 9 billion USSD transactions a year. I do USSD transactions myself. People really understand that. So when they roll out that feature, I think the uptake is just going to be enormous. So I mean, it's very exciting on all these dimensions. And I think that the other thing, just to finish this part, is the CBN's been very clear that this is meant to be part of the ecosystem. So they've put the eNaira platform in. They're not trying to replace the banks. They're not trying to replace the fintechs, the non-bank financial institutions. They're trying to give a platform that you can build on more and more use cases on it. So I think that the journey for the eNaira is going to be very exciting over the next 5 to 10 years. And it's just a fantastic innovation. And we applaud the CBN.
All right, so Andrew, two things. You said free transactions. I think I heard from the report that it's going to be free for the first 6 months. Then afterwards, the transactions will be paid for. Please just clarify on that. And also the impact on the economy. You're an economist, Andrew. We're hearing a figure that in the first 10 years, it will do about $30 billion, to the economy. I just want to talk about that. Who gave out that figure? Because the president has muted that figure for the first time. I'm sure it must have come from somewhere. Maybe the experts, like you guys at PwC. Let's interrogate those figures and also extrapolate the effects on diaspora remittances in the economy. Where did that figure come from? 29 billion, added to the economy in 10 years. And how long would it be free before the peer-to-peer transaction will be, charged at some certain pricing?
Well, let me begin with the charges. Of course, the CBN will decide what's charged. But my understanding, of course, if you think about the way the system works, you have to fund the wallet. So you create the wallet, and then it has to be funded. And the way to fund at the moment is through the banking system, or literally going into your bank and taking cash and having them put into the wallet. That's what they're saying is free. But the transactions from eNaira wallet to eNaira wallet, the understanding is that will always be free. I mean, that is what is the technical innovation, because it's peer-to-peer. If you think about normal transaction, when you use the NIP, which is fantastic in Nigeria. So this is the NIBS platform, and we make peer-to-peer transactions. Everyone watching makes many of those. We make 2.5 billion transactions a year. But again, like the POS, that's quite a complex system, because you have to send a message to your bank, and your bank sends it to the switch, and the switch sends it to the bank of who you're sending it to, and they send it to the person that's receiving, and that system can break. So the eNaira wallet to eNaira wallet, I think will always be free. I'd be very surprised if the CBN is free, but there may be a fee eventually from putting your money from the banking system into the wallet. Now, of course, if it's free within eNaira wallets, human behavior is very simple. People will keep it within their eNaira wallet as long as possible, and that will really reduce the cost of transactions. In terms of an estimate of the impact of the economy, that's not our number. I'm not sure where His Excellency the President got that number, 29 billion over 10 years, if I heard him correctly on that. I think that we are doing our own calculation at PwC. I hope when we're finished, you can invite us back. But let's call it, people know I don't make projections about the future, but on this issue of the total economic impact on the country, when you take the impact on being able to transfer value, low cost transactions transferred at no cost, the ability of people to do things without having to worry about change, the ability to transfer money to Nigerians as part of social programs, the impact on diaspora remittances. My guess, I'll say, is I think that when PwC Nigeria comes out with an estimate, it'll be bigger than what the presidency says. I think the long-term impact, or 5 to 10 year, not long-term, but 5 to 10 year impact of the eNaira will be considerably more than what the president says. But we'll come back when we've done our proper calculations.
Well, Dr. Nevin, let me take you back. You started by talking of pepper and jollof rice, and I was excited hearing you referring to that. You and I, we seem to have something in common, the love of jollof rice. And, but that's not our main focus. Now, quickly, some civil society organizations have started criticizing this new initiative by the Nigerian government, by the central bank specifically. They say it's just another form of money that has been made available, and that it will not have any effect on job creation, on inflation, or economic growth, and that all those claims about how this will transform the economy, mean nothing. I think the main NGO that has said that is the Center for Social Justice. I would like your comment on that. And then secondly, the CBN governor was saying we do not need to worry about fraud, about this system being compromised. But some Nigerians say, well, you can't guarantee that. So how foolproof is this blockchain technology in the country of the likes of Ramon Abbas, popularly known as Hush Puppy, and the fact that Nigerians always find a way of compromising any new initiative? Is this fraud-proof, risk-free? And if it is not, what are the challenges we should look forward to?
Let me start with the last challenge first on this, whether it's risk-free. I'm not a technology expert, but I have, and I'll admit it on television, I've traded cryptocurrencies a little bit for a number of years. That's what I understand about the technology, whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum. I mean, the underlying technologies are very solid. Remember, this is a distributed ledger technology. It has the history of every transaction. You know exactly when it was transferred from this wallet to another wallet on there. So there, in a sense, is nowhere to hide. Viewers may not realize for Bitcoin, for example, you can go online right now and you can look at every transaction that's ever been done in Bitcoin back to the beginning. And people think it's anonymous, but in fact, there are many criminals who've been caught doing Bitcoin transactions because it's not anonymous. And I have a lot of faith, as the central bank governor said. I mean, we've chosen a technology that's proven, but I mean, there are literally hundreds or thousands of crypto assets that use the same underlying technology, and no one's ever cracked Bitcoin, no one's ever cracked Ethereum. So from that viewpoint, I think it's very solid. In terms of the impact on the economy, I mean, we disagree. And why do we disagree? I mean, people understand the evolution of money. People, in a day when we had no electronic money, we had to use cash. It has all of the problems that we discussed a little bit before. You have a problem with getting change. You have to print the cash. You have to prevent counterfeiting. You have to move the cash. I mean, the cost of cash handling and cash transportation in this country is absolutely enormous, and it's one of the drivers of the CBN. And we actually have a high cost of cash destruction, which may strike people as strange. But of course, when we use cash so many times, it turns over, it gets used up, or you have torn or dirty notes. They have to be destroyed, and that has a cost. So cash is very useful. It's a great innovation, of course, worldwide. But then you came along with electronic money. And people said, wow, this is fantastic. And we have different forms of it. We have the POS system, as I said, in Nigeria, we have the NIP system, you have digital wallets. But as I discussed before, these systems are actually quite complex and prone to failure. There are multiple parties involved, multiple steps involved. So the next logical evolution is to get all the advantages of cash, like the eNaira, so the eNaira replacing the Naira, but none of the disadvantages, or fewer of the disadvantages of the electronic money. A much simpler system, peer-to-peer. There's no failure in the system. I mean, a transaction can fail, but on the eNaira system, it always fails on both sides. So there's no transaction. You can have no transaction, but what you can't have is what you have in the current system with POS or NIP, where one break in the chain, so you get charged, but you don't get any cash, or the merchant transaction fails, but you get charged, for example. That can't happen in this sort of technology because what's called in banking terms clearing, settlement, and payment the transfer value, are all instant and they're all tied together on that. And that's what's so fantastic. So now, if you think that if you take M-Pesa, for example, people have done estimates of the impact on the economy of going from a cash economy in Kenya to M-Pesa, and those are impressive, and the impact on financial inclusion is impressive. Now we're going to the next evolution of something that's much better than M-Pesa or other forms of currently of electronic money. So I disagree with the NGOs that would say it won't have an impact. I think what's going to happen is people find how easy it is to do and how useful it is in your day-to-day life. In commercial transactions, there's going to be more and more uses. I'll give you a simple example, a use case. I think within a year you're going to find employers with salaried employees pay them partially in the bank and partially into their eNaira wallet, because they want the eNaira wallet to start to make the small value transactions that they do in terms of perhaps paying their driver or going to the market or going to restaurants on that. So respectfully, I disagree with people that it isn't an innovation. Anytime you take that much cost out of the system and make it easier for the bottom of the pyramid to conduct commercial transactions, it's going to have a positive impact on employment, a positive impact on poverty, a positive impact on financial inclusion.
Well, thank you, Dr. Nevin. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Andrew.